Imagine if you had the opportunity to have a coffee with your 18-year-old self. Would you take the advice on offer? That's the question I've been asking for over a year now. Hi, my name's Mark Kelly and the founder of What I Know Now, where I interview people from all walks of life, from polar explorers, New York Times bestsellers, and the local taxi man. You name it, I ask them, what do you know now that you wish you knew before? Today's guest is Pat Slattery. Pat is an international success coach, entrepreneur and international speaker. Very welcome to have you on the show today, Pat.
Great to be here, Mark. Thank you.
Pat, can you give me a little bit of an overview about your journey to now?
I grew up in Limerick. I grew up in a little place called Ballinanty, which is right behind Thomond Park. If people are familiar with Thomond Park.
Sure am.
And I grew up in a 3-bedroom council house, which I suppose for most people is not too bad, but I have 9 brothers and 6 sisters.
Incredible.
So we had 2 up, 2 down, or first up, best dressed, you know. And I think it was the age of 9 years of age, we moved into Moyross, where we had got a 4-bedroom house. So we moved up because we had a 4-bedroom house. But my dad, when he was 42, broke his back. So we were raised on £70 a week pension. So that's where I've come from in terms of my life. I guess I always knew there was something more. There was going to be something more that I could do and something more I could achieve. And at 14 years of age, I left school. I got a job working as a dishwasher in Cruises Hotel in Limerick. And after a few days, I was upgraded to hall porter, or as now they call them concierge. But to me, that was the most important thing I possessed, was a job, because where I grew up, with a population around 6,500 people, there was 88% unemployment at the time. So I had achieved more than most people where I was growing up could ever achieve in most of their lifetimes. I had got a job. So that was my most prized possession. So there was no way in the world I was going to lose this. Now when I look back and I kind of look back and say, what was different about me then? How did I suppose, pursue my career and where I was going? And the one thing I knew in my heart of hearts, I was never going to lose that job. So I was going to be the absolute best I could be when I was there, because it meant so much for me to be able to go home and bring some income home to my mum and help and support at home. So by being the best I could be, I had lots of other opportunities became open up to me. At 15, I was a doorman. I was a doorman in a nightclub in Limerick. Before I was 18, I had 25 doormen working for me, and I was controlling 5 nightclubs, and I was still too young to get in. Right. So that was fun. That was good, an eventful time. But from there, I went on. I built my security business to the point where we had turned over 25 million in our business, and I'd done it the hard way. I spent a lot of time grafting and working myself to the bone, thinking that hard work was the way to do it, until I discovered, I suppose, a business group. And I went to a friend of mine at the time and asked for a bit of advice, because I was a bit overwhelmed. I felt stuck. I felt, that yes, I was making a lot of money, but I just couldn't keep going the way I was going, and I was kind of prepared to walk away. And this guy said to me, well, Pat, maybe you're just doing it all wrong. Now, when he said that to me, I wasn't too pleased. I had 85 staff at the time, and I didn't feel like I was doing it wrong. But he said, not necessarily your services and what you do, maybe you're just doing business wrong, maybe there's a better way for you to do it. And we set up a peer group, and he introduced me to a guy then who had just started BNI in Ireland, if you're familiar with BNI,
Sure.
Business Network International. And I actually went on to build BNI all over the country. I travelled around the country building chapters for this guy, and I mentored BNI for about 8 years. So there was a journey in that, a lot of learning in that also. I've had multiple companies over the years. I've had the ups and downs. I've made a lot of money. I've lost a lot of money. I've been through a lot of heartache, a lot of challenges, and a lot of great wins as well. So it's been a great journey, and I'm here today now by decision. I've decided that my goal only is to mentor people, to get a message out there, to be able to change people's lives, and that's 100% what I'll be doing from here on out.
Where did your love for working hard and your inspiration coming from? Because I know you mentioned it being a prize asset, having your job, but having 5 different jobs, it would have been so easy just to follow the suit where there's so many other people that were unemployed. So you're brought up into that kind of culture. What made you want to stand out for the crowd?
I still ask myself that question, Mark, and every time I do, I come up with different answers, to be honest. And I've again, by reflecting back in my life, I'd like to go back as far as I can go back. And like growing up in Moyross, obviously there were very little opportunities, but I got involved in a youth club, and I think that was the turning point. I had a particular youth club called the High Brazil Youth Club, and the guy who ran it was just a genius when it came to people, and he got me very much involved. I became a leader in one. We broke into 4 different groups in this club, and we were to come up with different activities, things we were going to do, orienteering, planning, and so forth. And I found myself loving this. And I had an auntie of mine. She was widowed very young, but she was the first employee actually in Shannon duty-free shop in Shannon Airport. And she was there for 35 years, but she met a lot of people from all over the world. Her job was to welcome a lot of the presidents and the dignitaries who would have come into the airport also. So I would visit her very regular, and we'd be talking about life, and she would talk to me about life. Actually taught me how to read before I went to school, how to write, how to tell the time. So I had a lot of inspiration, good inspiration in my life. And there's so much and there's so many. And when I look back on it, I kind of say, where did I get it from? I think it's just there. It's been there. It's always been there.
Innate ability.
And I'm privileged also that I have met some people at a young age that have allowed me to think that way. Because I was a bit of a daydreamer. I didn't get on very well in school, right? So hence the reason I left at 14 as well. Because I would be a bit of a daydreamer, and I tend to dream out loud sometimes, right? So I kind of say what's on my mind, and I just say, if I have a goal or I think I can achieve something, I'll just say it. And I used to do this before I ever knew what goal setting was, or I ever heard about inspiration speaking or motivation speaking or anything like that.
Did you ever have a sliding doors moment where you think if you didn't make a certain decision, it could have went bad for you, but you actually made the right decision?
Looking back on life and looking back on things, I can see many of them, but I don't try to overthink it anymore. I just kind of accept it. I've been guided on a certain route, and ironically, we're talking about Mark Victor Hansen one time. We were going out to Dublin Airport, and we spent 5 hours in the car talking. We just got into conversation, and it was possibly one of the most powerful conversations I feel I've had with anybody within this industry. And he said a lot of things to me, but he had said something that had been said to me before, but I think I kind of half ignored it. And he said, Pat, he said, gotta say this to you. And he said, I really hope that this rings true. He said, over the 4 days I've discovered, he said, that you have, he said, what I would call the gift of knowing. He said, the things that it's taken me 20 years to learn in a book, you just know. He said, you just have the answer. He just seems to bring it up every time you need it. And I guess that is something I find personally that I'm exceptionally good at. I just find solutions. I just always seem to have the solution. Maybe because I don't focus on anything else other than the solution. I keep thinking, what if we could do it? How could we do it? What way can I make this happen? I don't think of anything else. I don't think of anything as a problem.
Fallback
right?
option either.
Yeah. So that was again somebody I worked with that really inspired me in a way. And I gotta say, it takes a lot to inspire me. Right? I mean, I meet a lot of people. I meet a lot of people in this industry who are out there who come from a different intention. Right, and this is something I say to people. When you understand somebody's intention, if their intention is good, grab onto it.
The reason why I'm fascinated by that question is I was in college one day and I was running for a bus. I missed the bus. The driver literally looked at me, just drove away. And I felt like going at the time. I was only 19. I felt like going and kicking the bus. And one of my colleagues came up from my class. Never would have spoken to him before. I've just said hello to him. That was really it. But I sparked up a conversation with him. And he said, listen, we're hiring where I work. Have you got a CV? I'll drop it in for you. I said, listen, yeah, drop it in for me. And I got the interview the next day. I ended up working in Brown Thomas. And I worked there for 4.5 years, met most of my best friends, super job, and I ended up meeting my wife-to-be. So I always think back, imagine if I actually got on that bus, how would my life have changed?
Well, I've had many of those moments, that's for sure. Many. And as you were talking here, I think one moment really now that is resonating with me, and I can think of hundreds, but about 18 months ago, I was dropping my son to school. I was late, and lateness is not something I do, right? And as I rounded the corner heading towards the school, he said to me, he said, Dad, he said, there's a man on the ground. And I said, wait, so he spotted this guy on the ground, and I pulled in a Jeep, and again, from my security background, being in the security industry, I've done a lot of course in terms of first aid and resuscitation and so forth, so I knew there was an issue. So the guy was having a massive heart attack, so I got down on my knees and administered CPR, and he was blue, so he had stopped breathing, so he was clinically as was dead. Officially he would have been dead, but I just worked with him, and I kind of said, look, get this girl on the phone, even because people keep thinking, because I've practiced this often enough, it's so important to take instruction. So I said, just give me instruction and I'll follow with you. So I spent about maybe 20 minutes administering CPR, and some other people came along and helped. And then when the paramedics came along, and that guy is still alive today, right? So it was a pivotal moment for me to be able to say, you know what, I was put there for a reason. So if we ever doubt it, sometimes we doubt that, kind of go, well, that doesn't make sense. We can try and make sense of it. I just accept it now. I don't try to make sense of it. I don't ask the questions. I just accept that we are where we are when we need to be there, and even for the good or the bad. And
do you take that as kind of law of attraction, kind of life lessons? Do you look at that in a certain way?
I look at that as, for me, I guess, as an opportunity to realize how precious life is, and to realize how important it is to turn up. And when I say turn up, I talk about, if people are in business, turn up for your business and turn up for your life. And I see so many people in business in what I call a busy mess. They're running around in blind panic and their business has taken over their life. And I often ask people a question, particularly people who have kids and people who are in their business and they're working hard in their business, working around the clock. I often ask them, do they spend quality time with their kids? And most people say, yeah, they do. They spend quality time. They take some time over the weekend or, and what I say next normally shocks people is that your kids don't understand quality time. They understand quantity time. And unfortunately, people put quantity time into their business and try and fit quality time into their life. And what I do is I help people put quality time into their business so they have more quantity time in their life.
Yeah.
Because that's what is more important to me. And then you make the moments matter. When I can look back on all these different things and try and make sense of everything that's happened, but sometimes I just accept it, but I get involved in the process too. When we talk about the law of attraction and we hear about the law of attraction, and we've had many conversations with Bob Proctor on this, and matter of fact, my partner Donna has interviewed Bob. So we're on YouTube, if you look for Bob Proctor, or Donna Kennedy interviews Bob Proctor, we talk about the law of attraction. And he said that there's a greater law than the law of attraction, which is the law of vibration, which is movement. Everything is moving and you have to get involved in the process. So when we talk about and Donna came up with this concept called the law of conscious detection. So that what we actually put into our minds, what we start thinking about, we go out there to seek and find. Now, I certainly didn't go to find a guy dying on the side of the road, right? But somebody else put me there, something put me there for some reason, and I can try and make sense of it, or I can just accept it, and I just choose to accept it and be privileged. And I feel extremely privileged that if I was the person that was chosen to be there, and I had that opportunity to change this. But not only that person's life, his family lives, because I spoke to his son on the phone when the paramedics came, because his phone was on the ground, and this kid was going through the numbers, ringing people, and the impact that it's had in a positive way. So again, I can get really stuck in it, or I can say, you know what, there's a reason I was there, and I accept that reason, and to me, I believe it's my destiny to go out there and help people in many different ways, and I just accept that. I accept, whether it's the law of attraction, whether it's the law of conscious detection, whether it's the law of vibration. Now, there are so many other people out there with skills just like me, but they don't use them because sometimes we think that the world is going to come to us. Sometimes you have to get involved in the process. So I'm a big believer in getting involved in the process. If I see an opportunity and I'm going to take it, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make that actually happen. If I can see where I can make a difference, I'm going to do whatever I can do to make sure I get involved in the process of that. I'm not going to sit back and wait for it.
Is there 2 or 3 pieces of advice that you would offer to younger people at this moment of time? Because when I look at younger people coming into the world, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, there's so many different distractions, so much social media, so much pressure in so many different ways. Yesterday I heard a stat that over a third of people that do college courses now drop out. Is there anything that you're seeing out there?
Well, I think right now in this current age we're getting an upsurge of entrepreneurs, and there are a lot of younger people out there. And of course, social media is a huge portal now, and has opened the whole world to people to do business. So I encourage it as well, but I also want people to think about what it is they potentially would like to do, what they can do, and understand what skills they have themselves and what they can actually achieve in life, and go out there and do it. And I always say to people who come, my own sons as well, first thing I done was I kind of guided them down the road of getting a job in hospitality, because the education you get from hospitality is incredible, because you're meeting all different types of people and you're getting to interact with people. And the one thing I'm a huge believer in is never ever substitute your experience for education, because there's no comparison. So get out there and get some education by experience. So when we hear about people traveling the world, go out there and travel, do it. But as I said, we have an upsurge of entrepreneurs. There are not that many people out there looking for jobs. People want to work for themselves, and I believe that's because of necessity, right? Because the jobs weren't necessarily there and readily available, or the jobs with the skill sets that some of these people have are not readily available. So people have to go out there and do it themselves, and apply it to their lives. So the first thing I said is get out and get experience. The second thing is enjoy it, have fun when you're out there doing it. You don't take life too serious. And then make a difference with somebody. And it's ironically, we were having this conversation earlier, because one of the most important things for me is that I get to make a difference in somebody's life every day, no matter how small it is. Just get out there and do something that makes a difference.
So we were talking earlier about how you can work all the different techniques to be happy, but the fundamentally one, when you help other people to be happier, you actually feel the best.
Yeah. Well, you know, when we work the techniques to be happy, and I know it sounds like a simplistic answer, but just be happy. And when we hear the word be, you have to be, if you think about people say to me, this is what I want, when I get to this stage, I want to be this, and when I get here, I want to be that. Be it now. Behave like you would if you were the person that you want to become. So from right now, you have to decide, if I was to behave right now, like I was the person I want to become, how better would your life be?
Yeah, a lot better. And sometimes, and that's why when I mention techniques, I mean being grateful, you know, showing appreciation for what you actually have rather than always striving, to stop comparing against other people, and just being comfortable in yourself and knowing that things will start to happen once you actually apply yourself. But yeah, you're right, fake it till you make it, because sometimes you aspire to have all these different things, but if you just pretend that you actually have them, or you actually want them, but actually realize that you already have an awful lot of what you need. Taxi driver said to me on the way here, at 17 you have everything you need, and then in later life you start to figure out that you need more, but at 17 you pretty much have everything you have, and you shouldn't forget that. And it made me think for a while that at 17 you usually do have it, but maybe because of lack of confidence you don't necessarily apply it, or you try to seek out a little bit more.
Recently I was mentoring a group, and one person in the group asked me, he said, you know, how do you become so confident? I'm not naturally confident. And the reality is, I mean, most people, if they haven't got kids, they've met either a niece or nephew or like at 2 years of age. So have you ever seen a 2-year-old child that's not confident?
No, very rarely.
Right. Have you ever seen a 2-year-old child that's not happy? So I think we're naturally confident and we're naturally happy. The problem I see really is when we start going through life, we become conditioned not to be happy. We become programmed to start buying into the nonsense that's out there. And there's lots of social proof, and I mean this respectfully, there are people out there who are pushing this thoughts and mindset into people, and they're not doing it on purpose, because they've just learned, that's the program that they've learned, and they're buying into that program.
They're conditioned into it.
Yeah, and you know, when you do that, you know, that's why you just said 16, 17 years of age, all of a sudden, no, you have to grow up now and you have to become a man, right? You have to go out, you have to provide, the days of fun is over. Well, that's not necessarily true, and it shouldn't be that way. You should get out there and enjoy everything in life, and you should get out there and make a difference for everybody you can make a difference for. And you got to understand too, whatever it is you want in life, if you feel you deserve it, whatever it is rightfully yours, you just have to make a decision to go out there and get it. Sometimes, again, going back to programming, whatever has gone on in our environment, I mean, I'm not always aware of this. And I keep mentioning my partner, Donna Kennedy, because I give credit to where I've learned. And she wrote this program called Environmental Programming, and it's in her book, where it gets people to understand exactly what's going on in their environment, how it's programming the way they think and how they behave. And it really is, it makes a major difference when you start understanding what you're hearing, even in the background. When you have the news on, I never watch the news, I don't listen to the news on the radio, I don't read newspapers, right? And people say to me, how do you know what's going on? Well, if there's something going on in the world that I need to know about, somebody's going to tell me. So I choose what I allow into my environment, whereas most people are going through life and they're not even aware of it.
So anybody that's listening that's feeling a little bit down on themselves, that haven't really had the success they've really wanted, can you give me an overview about where you weren't successful but you turned it around?
I mean, there was a time when I lost everything. I lost my business, I lost my home, I lost my family, everything. And I had to start again. And
how did that happen? Was that just just bad decisions, a lot of bad decisions, just choices that were made? How did that happen?
So a number of factors really. Obviously bad decisions, and when I was running my business, the impact that other people can have on your business, particularly within my security industry. I was doing a lot in the construction industry, and the construction industry went wallop, left me with a £1.4 million debt. Now I can sit here and blame these people, and this is what most people say, you know, you can blame the people who owed me the money, but the reality is that was my fault, because I allowed that to happen. And this is why when we talk about business, you have to set a set of rules. You can't become emotionally involved, you have to follow your rules. And don't become emotionally involved in your business, and get your business done the way you need to get it done, and stick to the rules so you can go out and actually enjoy your life. It was hard to let go of, but the reality is it needed to go, because I had gone as far as I could go with that industry and with that business, as far as I needed to go, and I needed to make room for what I do today. Now I wasn't aware of that then. So, you know, you struggle a little bit, and we tend to try and claw and hold on to sometimes what I call the destructive goal, because we feel so much, we have so emotion involved in it, that we can't let it go. When the right thing would have been to let it go many years previous, and it would have avoided all that pain. But it's a life lesson. You learn it as you go on, and you learn it as you keep going forward. So for me, The one thing I'm very clued into is my resources. Who are my resources? Where can I find help? How can I find help? How can they help me? And how can I help them help me? So I literally found myself going back into my resources and learning from what I suppose I had made mistakes. The one thing I will say is, the funny thing is, I never ever felt like I failed. I've never felt that in my life. And I've met with a lot of people who were highly successful, and we sat down and we got to understand my story. And they look at me aghast, and I said, how did you keep going? How did you actually keep going? And I guess because I never realized I was failing. So sometimes when we educate people about failure, maybe we're preparing them for failure. And for me, I never saw it. It was just another day of surviving. So I just kept going, you know.
The next kind of 3-5 years, have you got some goals or plans?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I tell you what, my plan is, I'm here in Ireland, and the moment I came back to Ireland, you know, I was living in the Canary Islands for a number of years, and got thinking about a number of different factors why I wanted to come home. And I'm back here in Ireland, and what I really want to do is I want to get people here and shake them up a little bit. Get people to realise the quality of the talent, the quality of people that we have here in this country, the higher standards that are there that most people are not becoming more aware of it. I want to tease it out of people. I want to tease it out of people to help them take ownership of their own destiny, take ownership of their own life and where they want to be going. I've had many opportunities to travel overseas and do what I do, but I want to do it here first. This is my home. This is where I want to make a difference. It's not for everybody. Not everybody's going to buy into it, and that's okay too. But there are people out there who deserve a chance, and I hope that what I do is going to give them a chance to be able to step up. We've just set up a company called the Virtual Business Academy, where what we do is we actually find people, and most of the people coming forward in this case are women, but there are a lot of men out there with skills too and don't realise it. We have people who have certain skills. We have a group of ladies at the moment, one who worked as a secretary, somebody who does social media, somebody who worked as a legal secretary, and all of these people have different skill sets. And a lot of them may have given up their job because they want to look after their kids and so forth. But this is actually a real laptop lifestyle, because what we want to do is we want to find out the skills that they already have and enhance those skills and teach them how to get paid exceptionally well for what they do exceptionally well. And there's not, you know, they will learn new skills as they go forward, but they're not depending on learning new skills. Whereas it's a scary place for some people in their 40s or 50s to have to go back out to try and learn something new. Whereas we know they have a talent, so let's tap into that talent, let's enhance it, and let us create a business for them. So that's what we're doing at the moment. That's my current goal, and that's what I'm working on. And we're getting a huge positive response to this at the moment, you know.
So my last question, so you're sitting down, are you having a coffee or is it a tea with your, let's say your 18-year-old self? What advice are you having in that conversation?
Ironically, this is actually a question that was asked about 2 years ago at a seminar. And we were all asked the same question. What would you do now? What would you invest in? I suppose if you had 10,000 euros today, what would you invest in? And everybody had the same answer. I would invest in myself. I would find other ways for me to educate myself, to think differently, to learn more skills, to learn more knowledge, to understand what I already have and what I'm capable of doing, and then go out and doing and find somebody who can guide me to make me do it. So I always say to people, look, read some books even. Start with some books. Start with some simple books that give you different ideas, and we want to tease out what's already in there. Because let me tell you this, there are so many people out there, so even young kids that are so knowledgeable, they're so resourceful. They're incredibly resourceful, yet society in general kind of dumbs it down and tell people, you know, you sit down there, be quiet, sit down there, be quiet, sit down there, be quiet. Bring it out of people. So at 18 years of age, I would sit there and say to myself, how can I invest in me?
Pat, that's absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. And listen, keep up the great work because you're doing a great job.
Really appreciate that.
We need more people like you.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
To subscribe to the podcast, you can stick in WIKN into Android and podcast of choice or iTunes. Hope today you took some impact from what Pat's actually said. I know I have. I want you to have an absolutely powerful week and take massive action. See you soon. Bye.